Hi again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It's Thursday, which means it's match preview showtime, and we take on Pete Wild's Barrow this coming weekend at the Men's Priestfield Stadium. A Barrow side that did start the season very well, but have just fallen off a little bit. But here to tell me all about Pete Wild's men is Taylor. He is a Barrow fan, obviously, and I'll put his Twitter handle in the description at the bottom of the video, so go give him a follow. Appreciate you coming on, Taylor. Like I say, thank you. Slightly last minute because I was disorganised this week.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
No, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's get straight into the show then. Let's have a look at last six in the league. Gills has improved over the last few weeks after a really slow start to the campaign after coming down from League One. It's now draw, lose, draw, win, draw, draw. So that's the last half dozen for Neil Harris's men. So 7 points from the last 18 available. There's only one win, but there's only one defeat to counter that as well. So the draw specialist somewhat. We look at our opponents over the last six. 2 wins, followed by 4 defeats. That good start, tempered by a recent poor run, like I've already mentioned, gives you 6 points from 18. And then if we break it down into home and away, Gills have 6 points from the last 6 at home. That is a single win, 3 draws, 2 defeats. And a Barrow, a bit of a mixed bag as well, but still the same total, 6 points from 18. It's exactly the same record as the overall, actually, Taylor, which is 2 wins and 4 defeats.
Yep.
Let's have a look. Go right back to the season. Obviously, new manager. Pete Wild came in and took over. What was the general consensus among the Barrow fan base regarding the appointment?
Yeah, I think it was the right appointment at the right time. Obviously, he's done a fantastic job at Halifax for the last few seasons, and we'd obviously come off the back of having Phil Brown in charge temporarily last season, where initially I actually think we were interested in getting permanently. So I was quite glad that that fell through. And we did end up making the correct appointment in my view.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pete Wild was my first choice and a lot of people's first choices. So it was good that the board obviously felt the same way, and then obviously went for him to lead us forward. I think possibly that move could have been made 12 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
possibly. Obviously, whether he would have been interested in doing it 12 months ago is a different story. But I think I would have been happy to say that he could have led us forward 12 months ago, and God knows where we could be now. With a season where he's able to bring in his players and then build upon it in the summer again this year. But obviously, we not possible. But we brought him in this summer, and he's done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're on a bit of a poor run of form at the minute, but hopefully we can rectify that and sort that fairly quickly.
Yeah, sure, because we've already mentioned that very good start. Oh, that's not a ghost behind you.
No, I think it's the cat coming in the room.
21 points overall, which, like you say, represents a very good start for a club that's still finding its feet as a Football League side, and had a new manager, plenty of new signings as well. But 15 of them came before the end of August. Since then, it's 4 defeats on the spin. You've only scored once and conceded 6. So even in that run of defeats, you're not conceding a great deal. You're not being thrashed. But obviously, the lack of goals, which is something we'll get onto with Gills shortly, is a little bit of a concern, I'd imagine.
Yeah, at the minute it's poor, definitely at the minute. I think we have a set style of play which is sort of to press high up the pitch, try and win the ball back fairly quickly. And I think we saw that at the start of the season, and you can't play that way throughout the entirety of a season because fitness levels aren't there to do that week in, week out, 2 games a week, to be able to do that. And I think you need a plan B in situations like that. And I don't think we quite have a plan B at the moment. Whether it's a work in progress, I don't know. But at the minute, we don't seem to have sort of that plan B that's needed in order to try and win us games when we're unable to play the way we want to. And I think in the past few weeks, we've sort of been found out in terms of not having that plan B, and teams have been able to play their own way, and we've struggled to get going in the way that we would like.
So something there, Gills fans, obviously that hopefully we can try and sort of get at, because confidence will have taken a dent over the last 4 games. We've mentioned the good start. We've mentioned it's been tempered, the enthusiasm because obviously the start was unbelievable. Let's be honest. I did a season preview video. I predicted Barrow to go down. You'd struggled last season. Pete Wild was a new manager, so obviously there was that unknown quantity. I know he'd done all right with Halifax and Oldham, I think, in difficult circumstances as well. But in terms of budget, size of the club, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, obviously you're going to be right at the bottom of League Two. So that start was unbelievable. Like, I think from a neutral perspective, as an outsider looking in, I can only imagine how great it must have been from a Barrow supporter's point of view. But now, obviously, that's just sort of been reeled in, that enthusiasm. What's the aim for the remainder of the campaign? Has it changed much from what it was at the start of the season? Is it get to 50 points and then see how far you can get? Or with that good start, do you start thinking maybe we can aim a little bit higher?
I think everyone was sort of still in the same boat. The initial aim was to just get to the 50-point mark and ensure that our heads are above the water, even after a good start. Now, you do get carried away a little bit in terms of when you are getting all these wins and points and you're seeing yourselves in the top 3 and in the playoffs, and you're going, well, you know, we could possibly stay up there. But I think if you, from a realistic point of view, the aim is always to just get 50 points and keep our heads above the water and then see how things go from there. Obviously, now that we've had a bit of a downturn in form, then it's natural that we're returning to sort of the realistic view, and everyone's like, let's just make sure we get a couple of wins on the board, get some confidence going, and make sure we do get to that 50-point mark. Because at the minute, I think we're looking down rather than up again at the minute. So it's a case of, you know, trying to get a win back on the board, try and get some confidence going. Obviously, we've won in midweek. We won last night against Carlisle. Obviously, it's completely different competition and a completely different team that's put out. But it does give you some confidence in the squad if you can get a win and get a couple of goals. And hopefully it does, you know, help you propel back up the table and get some confidence and wins back in the team. But yeah, definitely at the minute we are still sort of looking in that realistic point of view of just getting the 50 points that we need, and then once we get there, if we do, to then see where we can go from that. But you know, we got to keep realistic, and sides like ourselves, as much as we don't want to be, we do want to be more than that. We do have to be realistic and try and get the 50 points and then build on that. And then eventually, you know, when we a couple of seasons are doing that, then maybe we can start to wish of more and see what can happen. But at the moment, we do need to be realistic, and the last couple of seasons we've been poor and we've been fighting towards the bottom, and so we just want a bit of stability this season. I would say is the word. Stability is what we need. So if we can get to that 50-point mark as early as possible and then see what happens, then that's great.
Yeah, there's some similarities with us. Obviously, we're coming down, so then we need some stability because we've had, you know, a very poor season. Last season was absolutely horrendous. And we've not had a great start. And I've said this on plenty of preview shows to other fans that I didn't for 1 minute think that Gills were just going to come down and walk the league. I knew there were some big teams in League Two that spend a lot of money. Your Salfords and your Bradfords and your Stockports have got bigger budgets than us. There's other clubs. And then you've got other teams like Barrow that want to be like we want to be. And that's to, you know, punch above our weight and bloody the noses, so to speak, of a few of the bigger teams. But even with your recent poor run, you're only 4 points away from getting to 50% of that 50 points already. So it's certainly still represents a really good start to the season. And what you said about scoring goals, regardless of the competition, and we all have our opinions on the pizza trophy, as we like to call it. But Gills hasn't scored 3 goals in a game since March 2021 until 2 weeks ago when we beat Brighton under-21s in that competition. So it does serve a purpose. We managed to get people playing that had been out through injury. So I totally agree. It certainly serves a purpose of getting minutes into the legs of those that need it and essentially restoring some confidence if you have been on a poor run in the league. Josh Gordon, having a look at your squad, and again, I don't mean this disrespectfully, it's a squad for me that's, I think, well-rounded in a sense that everybody probably knows their job. There's no one that sort of jumps off the page and you go, whoa, he's like the, you know, the star man. But looking at Josh Gordon, 7 goals in 13 in League Two, he was the one that jumped off the page a little bit. I noticed he has scored 44% of your goals in the league, though. So obviously, if you can stop him, you've got half a chance. But aside from Gordon, who else should we as Gills fans potentially be looking out for on Saturday afternoon, come 3 o'clock, as you know, potential danger men?
Yeah, so I think you are right in thinking that Josh Gordon is probably one to watch out for. He's off to a great start this season. I think he's very much a confidence player. I think last season we didn't see too much of him in terms of what he can bring, because I don't think he had the manager that was putting confidence in him to get the best out of him. But I think he's got that with Pete Wild. I think aside from him, Ben Whitfield's another to watch out for. He especially was an integral part to the start of the season that we've enjoyed. He's been very good so far this season. Again, he's sort of a bit of a downturn in form, sort of with the rest of the squad, which is natural. But I think he is one to watch, and I think he'll be a bit of a danger to you guys at weekend. From a defensive point of view, now Canavan's the captain. He's looked really steady this season at the heart of the defence. And I think Patrick Brough as well is always our left back is always very reliable. You know what you're going to get from him. Don't think he ever really puts a foot wrong. He doesn't really he's not really sort of a player where you go, wow, he's brilliant, but he's someone that's dependable and is going to sort of give you 100% every game. As I say, he's not the best player, but sometimes you just need someone that's reliable and consistent, and I think that's what he is in this team. So I always like to rate him and say that he's a strong part of the team, because, as I say, you need sort of players like that, and I think he's definitely one of them. But I think, yeah, you're definitely right in the terms of we are well rounded. We don't sort of have that one player that you sort of that stands out and you're amazed by him and you think that he's going to be the danger man. I think it's more of a team effort from us. I think, yeah, as you say, it's a well-rounded team, and that's what we are. We're just a strong team, and I think that's going to serve us well over the course of the season, and that'll be what keeps us up. Because I do think that it isn't just a strong start to the season. I do think that we are going to be able to rebound from a few weeks of disappointment and a few losses. I think we will rebound, and I think this team will get us over the line, and a bit more than that. I think we are going to do okay this year.
Yeah, I'm certainly sitting there watching you start, like I say, after my season preview video, and I like to pride myself and think that I have a fairly decent knowledge of lower league. But every week throughout July and August, and up until the last 4 games, I was sitting there and I was thinking, Barrow making me look more and more stupid here. So forgive me for being quite happy that they have got on a slightly poor run. Obviously, from a Gills fan's point of view, it's quite helpful as well. It'd be weird for us because we might actually go into a game as at least sort of even money with the bookies, or potentially being favourites, which I don't think's happened all season long. Team news. Obviously, we're recording on a Wednesday, so there's not been a press conference from either club that I can see. Gills usually do theirs on their Thursday, and I'd imagine Barrow have not released anything yet because they played on the Tuesday night. But can you fill us in, us Gills fans, in terms of if there's any injuries, that people that are going to be likely to be missing, or and what you essentially think your 11 will be come 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, so I think we'll have a similar team to what we put out against Rochdale last week. I think we reintroduced Sam McClellan back into the team last weekend, which was a welcomed return to the starting 11, because he had been playing week in, week out from the start of the season, and then we had the international break. He went away with Northern Ireland, the under-21s, and then he was on the bench for the next couple of games, which I thought was a little bit strange, because I prefer him and Canavan in the heart of the defence rather than George Ray next to him, who, albeit I think he's a decent player, I think McClelland is the better of the two. So it's good to see him back in the team, and I think he'll retain his place next to Canavan. Although defensively we did look a bit poor, but I think we'll keep the same sort of back line as what we did. I think we'll probably, yeah, as I say, probably the same team. If anything, Billy Waters might be reintroduced to the team possibly, and we may see, I'm not sure how far away he is, but we may see Richie Bennett possibly get himself onto the bench. He's been injured since pre-season and he's on his way back now. I'm not too sure as to how close he is to making a full return, but I think possibly he could get on the bench, because we have lacked attacking options off the bench recently. So I think he could possibly get on there. But I think it'll be the same team as what we had last week. Possibly 1 or 2 changes, as I say, but I think we'll keep the same team as what we had last week.
That's fair enough. Because just looking, I don't know how reliable this is, the app that I use, but it looks like Wild's not afraid to change the system. Just looking at your recent games, you look like you played a 4-3-3 in some, and then a 4-2-3-1, a back 5 on a couple of occasions as well. So I know our manager, Neil Harris, talks about sort of horses for courses as well, and says that he's not afraid to go to a back 3 if we have to. We did it earlier in the season, essentially because we couldn't defend in a 4. But thankfully now we've started to learn how to defend as a back four. So I'd imagine we'll probably stick to the 4-4-2. We drew with top of the league last Saturday. So for me, unless there's any injuries, I can't see any reason why Neil Harris would change any of it. So for me, it'd be an unchanged 11 again. So it'd still be exactly the same. And we're actually filling a bench now, which we couldn't do at the start of the season. We have got 3 people that have been out for a while, 3 experienced midfielders in Stuart O'Keefe, Ollie Lee and Ben Reeves. They've all been missing for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, depending on which one you land on. I think Harris has said a couple might be close, but I'm basically saying we go with the team that got a decent point against top of the league last week, and then if any of them are back, we put them on the bench, like you said with your players. If you can get those returning from injuries onto the bench, it gives you better options, doesn't it? That'd be interesting, because I feel a bit uncomfortable with the fact that we might go into the game as slight favourites, and that certainly hasn't happened a lot over the last 15, 16 months in either League One or League Two. But before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, I have to ask this question. I've written mine down. Score prediction. Who's going to be happy, if any of us, at 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon?
I think we may get our first draw of the season in the league. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
That's absolutely fine. We are the draw specialists, so I can understand why you've gone with that. I'm going to be confident from a Gillingham point of view. I think if we can put in a performance like we did against Swindon and maintain the levels that we've done over the last few games, because I think we're only 1 defeat in 9 now in all competitions after that sticky start. I'm going to back us to win. I'm going to back us to win to 0. And I'm going to do a weird thing here, Gills fans. I'm going to back us to score 2 goals in a football match in the league, which is something that we've not done a great deal. I think the last time we scored 2 in a league game to win on a Saturday was August 2021. And I think the last time we scored 2 on a Saturday was at home to Oxford in January of this year, but we conceded 7.
Oh my God.
So yeah. So Taylor's going for a 1-1 draw. I am going for a 2-0 home win. Hopefully we can continue the good run before a couple of very tricky games on the road after that, when we have to go Leyton Orient and Doncaster Rovers, another team that have decided to sack their manager just before they play us. Taylor, I appreciate your time, really do. Thank you very much. It's been really enjoyable getting to know more about our opponents at the weekend. Gills fans, Barrow fans, if you are watching and listening and you've got to this point, then thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Please keep liking and subscribing. Get commenting down below. Let us know what you think your team will be, whether you're a Gills fan or a Barrow fan. Let us know what you think the score will be. I should be back with Stocky on Saturday for Match Day Live. So do come and say hello before the game if you are about. And then myself and Reese will return with our Monday review show, hopefully able to talk about a positive result and a positive performance. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week. The weekend is not too far away, which means football is not too far away. And up the Gills.